So we'll now move on to liaison reports.
Oh, do I get to do my superintendent's
sorry,
reports?
I skipped your superintendent's
That's
report.
okay.
Yeah,
You
sorry.
have more?
I have more.
Apologize.
There's always more, right?
Yeah.
So my superintendent's reports are activities in the district since our last board meeting on March 15th. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was on Friday, March 18th, we had a superintendent's conference day. It was a super busy day in the district. We had faculty and staff engaged at BRS. I was at a workshop held by Ms. Hunger on reading strategies, and then one held by Mr. Pinkava on data inquiry. They finished the afternoon over at BRS with a meeting with Paul Forbes working on identity and implicit bias, which was a great learning experience. Also on that day, we provided an opportunity for our non-instructional staff to have a session with Paul Forbes in the morning that our teachers had had at a previous extended day session and our DEIA committee had had. So really positive feedback from them on that learning experience and for providing something on that day for them that was so meaningful. The middle and the high school staff provided training on a variety of topics, including various things in curriculum and a lot of different technology pieces, which I thought would be fitting to point out following the technology budget presentation. Things like Nearpod and Flocabulary were going on in the school buildings, as well as, and Dr. Faggio had mentioned it, a presentation by Randy Hall from the RIC through the Model Schools COSER on rubrics and learning objectives through assessments in Schoology. So utilizing Schoology, utilizing model schools, just a tremendous opportunity for our teachers to continue on their path of really teaching in 2022 and beyond. I already talked about the budget forum, so I'll skip that. And then just in terms of the performing arts, the final week of Susical was that week, the first weekend. Absolutely blown away, amazing talent. And then the following weekend was the 7th and 8th grade show. And it sort of came together of that this is just an amazing growth and development for the experiences that we provide. And I remembered back to the 5th and 6th grade show on The Wizard of Oz, from their skills growing. And it even goes back further to the BRS on the Little Theater and watching our performances at that group level, and then being able to watch the 5th and 6th, and then 7th and 8th, and then the high school, not in that order, but all kind of together. Just amazing experiences for our kids and the performing arts. Next weekend, they'll be live streaming the Shrek Jr. performance. And we also had, in the music world, the Festival of Strings last week, which was wonderful. In terms of partnerships, just in this evening, we heard about the partnership with Joe Wallace and the Writing Foundation, the partnerships with athletics and other school districts to make sure that we can provide opportunities for our kids. Mr. Fondi and I met with the community health outreach person and the volunteer coordinator last week from Northern Westchester Hospital. It was just wonderful to learn about the current partnerships that we have. There's a junior council there. They were also offering opportunities for our students, the senior internship program. They didn't have spaces. They referred us to Phelps. It's just amazing. After that, I met with another person from the hospital, and we talked about, they asked me to be on the President's Council, which involves quarterly meetings, and really about this shift in the hospital services and moving from being a place where people come to them when they're sick to being really a community wellness opportunity. Fits in so beautifully with our work in partnerships as well as wellness. So I thought that was just a great conversation, and also part of my getting to know Pleasantville and meeting with all kinds of different people. Today we had our first day of the New York State testing program for grades 3 through 8 in ELA. Thank you to the coordinators at BRS and the middle school, Mr. Pinkava and Dr. Chigares, for it going off without a hitch. We have one more day tomorrow. We also received confirmation from New York State Education Department that they are definitively having both the June and the August regents this coming June and August. So that's where we are in the testing world. In the COVID world, our Lower Hudson Council of School Superintendents submitted another letter to the Commissioner of Education, the Commissioner of the Department of Health for New York State, and the Board of Regents Chancellor, basically saying that in order to make any move with the mass metric, the superintendents, I think it represents 78 school districts, is looking for local school and district data in order to make those decisions. We also supported resources for testing and increased funding for mental support in our letter to those folks. Last week, we had Peak into Kindergarten. Thank you to Mr. Bush and his persons for attending and supporting the board and the district. The BRS team did a fabulous job. It was so wonderful. They set up 120 chairs, and almost all of them were filled. They had 70 packets, and I think almost all of them were handed out. The parents were able to hear a presentation, and then they went and walked through the classes, and then they could buy gear and talk to anybody that was around. They were making friends with one another. When I asked who was new to the district, I would say about 50% of the hands were raised. So we have a lot of new families that are going to be coming into BRS next year, which is very exciting. So I know everyone will do a wonderful job at welcoming them to the community and to the school district. The last superintendent comment that I will make was last Monday, we had our third DEIA district committee. So we met and we broke up into small groups, and the group members self-selected one of the 6 areas in the strategic plan that they wanted to work on. We had 2 curriculum groups and then a group for each of the other strategies in the strategic plan, except for the infrastructure and resources strand. So there were actually 24 participants working in 6 groups, and they did a great job. They started the project of thinking about the strategy that they chose and the recommended action plans that are in the strategic plan in light of the fact that the plan was written in 2019 before the pandemic, and consider the changes that have taken place in our schools and our world, and apply the lens of DEIA and take a look at that work, and they will be providing us with feedback on that project. So I'm really excited. Every team that we met with before they left, most of them stayed well past 8 o'clock, and on their way out the door, they were asking if in the next session that they can continue the work. So it was really deep and rich conversations that were happening with our strategic plan with the lens of the DEIA group. So I thank them for their efforts and look forward to hearing the fruit of their labor come through. That is the conclusion of my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you.